I don't even feel like talking anymore because those both team speakers have said it all. Both Ananya and Vedanshi have given a very crystal clear understanding of what meditation is. You agree? Yeah? Fantastic job. Oh my God, just brilliant. They not only just spoke about meditation, but they actually took time to reflect within and share their own experiences, which is amazing. There are people out there who can talk for hours together about what meditation is, but what they have done actually is taken their real-time experience, real life experience, and shared it with you, which is very, very powerful. Thank you very much. Really appreciate both of your time, effort, and energy for doing this. And I would like to thank Mike from City of Burnaby to organize this beautiful session for the teens. And I think if there is one group of people in the world that needs this tool, it is teens. And if I go back and look at my own life as a teen, I know what the challenges are like. I have been through many challenges as any other teen would go through. Mental challenges, emotional, physical. And I remember 10 years back when I met my teacher Sunita, I told her, oh my God, I should have met you when I was a teen. I said this 100 times probably, or even more. Because I realized the value of this tool very late in my life, when I was 33. I knew about it initially when I was young, but I really understood the value only at 33. And then I thought, wow, if I had started this when I was a teen, I could have done completely different things in my life. I would have accomplished way more. And when I say I would have accomplished way more, I'm not talking about made more money or name and fame or richness and all of that. What I'm saying is I would have accomplished more about knowing myself, knowing who I really am, what my potential is, what I can do for this world, how I can be useful for this world. I think I would have been way better if I had started this at that age. So I really congratulate everyone who is here today, and I feel you are very fortunate to have this knowledge and understanding of what this can do in your day-to-day life and how you can grow with it in your life. Okay, so without any further delay, we'll go into stress and meditation. I know they both have explained very well many aspects. I'm going to go into a little bit deeper into the scientific aspect of it because I come from a background of medical science. I'm originally a veterinarian. I'm not a human doctor, but an animal doctor. So I have a lot of passion for science and medical science, and I would like to put those facts in front of you and help you understand, dive deeper within your bodies and minds. Okay? So 10 years back when I went to learn meditation, my teacher first asked me, can you smile like this? That subtle, simple smile on the lips. And I was not sure why she was asking me that. But over a period of time, I realized the value and importance of that subtle, simple smile. What it does, it brings your attention back to this moment no matter where your mind is wandering. All our minds are wandering 70% of the time. We don't live in the moment. We are right here, but our minds would be somewhere else. And that's very natural, and there is scientific research to support that. And we keep generating these thoughts, I think 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative. So when you practice this subtle, simple smile, like right now, where you're sitting, your attention will come back into this moment. Please try this. And I would encourage you to try this for the next 30 minutes, and I'm going to keep reminding you all to practice this. This is the first simple step in meditation. And that is what my teacher Sunita meant. If you can smile like this, you can actually meditate. So, please, dears, bring those subtle, simple smiles, every one of you. It will relax you. It will bring you back to this moment. It's the simplest meditation tool you can ever use. You don't have to do all big breathing exercises, and you don't have to sit in a certain posture. Even when you're working, when you're studying for your teens, just bring that subtle smile and study. You will see the way you absorb things is immensely faster. It works like magic. Okay? So with that background, we'll move on to understand your brain, because brain is at the center of all this action, right? You agree? Okay. So this is what is called evolution designed brain. You all agree, right? We evolved from a small single cellular organism in water, and then we became fish, and then from there amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, and here we are. We had a long journey from a small single cell to who we are today. In that journey, our brain actually evolved too, just like our bodies. And if you look at the brain that we carry, the traces of evolution are there already in it. So the lower portion of the brain here, this portion, it's called the brain stem, that is the reptilian brain. And that is what we had when we were reptiles. And then there is this other part of the brain, the central portion called the limbic brain, also called the emotional brain. That's started evolving when we became mammals, like lions, tigers, dogs, cats, all these creatures, other animals out there. And then this is the newer portion of the brain that evolved recently. It's called neocortex. That's the rational brain, that's the thinking brain. And this model is called 3 brains in 1. So we actually have 3 brains in 1 brain speaking to. And the scientist who presented this model is Dr. Paul MacLean. So the brain stem, the lower portion of the brain, the reptilian brain, okay, don't forget the smiles, dears. Please bring those smiles. It's very easy to forget, right? Just be aware of your subtle smiles, okay? So that evolved 400 million years ago. And then it's responsible for the primitive survival issues like feeding, aggression, basic survival instincts. What does a reptile do, a snake? It eats, it burrows itself, it goes out, if someone comes in its way, it bites, goes back into burrowing, right? Simple, very simple life, nothing complicated. And now look at this limbic system, the paleomammalian brain, which evolved 100 million years ago. Now we started to carry a lot of baggage in it. There are 2 important parts in that area of the brain called amygdala and hippocampus. And then that's the center of fear. Amygdala is responsible for your fear, threat center, and hippocampus is your memory center. And the social emotions like parenting, nurturing, playfulness, all these are centered in that area, the limbic area. So if you imagine the brain like this, the stem, the reptilian brain, the central portion is the limbic brain, the emotional, and then the top portion with all the folds, that's your neocortex, that's the neomammalian brain. So neomammalian brain is responsible for higher functions like reasoning, logical thinking, self-awareness, like knowing about who you are, what your thoughts are, and how you can regulate those thoughts, not falling victim to the thoughts and getting carried away with those emotions, right? So that's evolved only 4 million years back, only 4 million years. So, and it's also responsible for your willpower, creativity, higher purpose, all these amazing things that as human beings we would like to have are all in this part of the brain. So now we understood what a general brain looks like, human brain. But now I'm going to show you the transition of brain from age 5 to age 20. So you are right here somewhere now, all you teens. So your brain is work in progress. It's not fully developed yet. It's developing. And if you look at this, this is the brain right here. So the first parts of the brain that actually start working are the spatial perception, the physical movement, the vision part of the brain, that's this part, and then the part of the brain which is responsible for memory, hearing, language, sensory perceptions. So these parts of the brain develop first. And then the last one to develop is the frontal lobe, the frontal portion, so this front portion of the brain. So that's the front portion. So if you imagine the brain like this, the portion of the brain right behind your forehead is the last to develop. But that is the part of the brain which is responsible for balanced thinking, decision making, logical thinking, rational thinking, self-awareness, self-regulation, which are missing mostly during the adolescence period because you make quick decisions, you don't have that rational thinking, you fall prey to the emotions. You agree? Yeah? You can relate to that? I mean, I relate to that. I know. I mean, if I look back at my life as a teen, I would like, my God, how did I do that? Right? So we all do that, and that's the reason being your brain is still evolving. Unfortunately, we, after becoming parents, we forget that, and we treat you teens almost like adults, and like, why are you not doing this? Why are you doing this? So we adults also need to understand that you guys are all evolution in progress. And it's important that as parents we have that knowledge so that we can empathize with you and understand your feelings and say, oh, okay, this is where he's coming from, this is where she's coming from, and then guide you and have a nice open discussion with you. So as parents it's important, and as teens it's important for you to know what's happening with your brain. Clear? Okay? Excellent. So now if we go deeper into the brain, these are all called neurons. Neurons are the cells within your brain. There are like billions of neurons in your brain. When you're thinking, let's say there is a thought that comes up, it travels like an electrical impulse. All thoughts are basically nothing but electrical impulses, signals in your brain that go across all these billions of neurons very quickly in a flash of a second. So these are neurons and these are impulses, and when the two neurons join, the area is called synapse, synaptic area right there. So that's the internal workings of your brain. So now we talked about it, teenage brain, work in progress, and many people also have this misconception that the changes that we see in the teenage attitude are because of the hormones. It's actually not true. Yes, hormones are coming up, but the main reason we see different kinds of behaviors in teenagers is because of the changes in the brain. It's more to do with the brain rather than hormones. And a lot of people also have this misconception, oh my God, I got to deal with my teenage kid. And they kind of put this teenage category as if they are like alien species, they are like they are like people who are responsible for chaos and confusion. No, they're not. They are seeing the world in a different perspective because their brain is looking the world from a different perspective. Very simple. So the pros and cons of situations that we see and the teens see is a little bit different, that's all. Okay? But there is a way to bring everyone back to the same page. And the good news is that you can shape your brain the way you want. Yes, the brain is growing just like a plant. Let's say you bring a rose bush, right? What do? You prune it. If you want to go it in a certain direction, you guide it. You prune it. You tame it so that it grows in a certain direction, certain shape, certain size. Exactly the same way we can prune our brains the way we would like. And that's actually called neuroplasticity. We're going to talk about that. So this is Dr. Donald Hebb. He's a Canadian psychologist. He's the father of neuropsychology. He says that neurons that fire together wire together. What does that mean? It means that you can change the shape of your brain, development of your brain with the thoughts that you have, the experiences that you have, and the feelings that you create. The brain is representation of your feelings, emotions, and your thoughts, not the other way. Of course, when it goes in a certain direction, it starts to create those thoughts, but your thought is what influences the way your brain is structured. So neurons that fire together, because when there is a thought, neurons fire an electrical impulse, and when they fire, they tightly wire together, and that part of the brain becomes stronger. So depending on the type of thoughts you have, the shape of the brain can change. The areas of the brain within can change according to your experiences. So it's very important to channel your experiences and create those experiences in your environment. So neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is plastic molds the way you want, right? So your brain can mold the way you want. In the past, people used to think it's not possible, but in the last decade, they found with lots of these research that you can change the structure of your brain with your thoughts. So we can integrate different parts, experiences change, and also reflective practices like mindfulness and meditation work specifically on this part of the brain called prefrontal cortex, the front portion of the brain, which actually regulates all other parts, especially the middle prefrontal cortex part. So by practicing these things like meditation and mindfulness, you're actually training and changing the brain structure and creating the environment that you would like to. Okay? Is it too boring or too scientific? Are we okay? Are you getting the gist of it? Okay? Hopefully, yeah. Let me know if you're bored. I can switch the topic and make it a bit more entertaining. All right. So basically, teenage is an opportunity for growth. You're growing. This 13 to 19 is an amazing time to explore, to learn about yourself. It's an opportunity for you to take advantage of the time to channel your energies the direction that you want. So how you shape your brain now influences rest of your life. So now let's go to science of stress. So we understood what the brain is, what the structure of the brain is, and then how a teenage brain works. And of course the core aspect of today's discussion is stress management for teens. So I'm sure you can relate to this, right? There are times when you're frustrated, when you're bored, when you're irritated, when you're angered, like Ananya mentioned and Vedanshi mentioned in their talk. You go through this. So we humans go through this, but zebras don't go through this. They don't have this problem. You know that? They don't have this problem. Only humans have this problem. And there is a reason for that. So when zebras really don't live in stress. They are happily grazing and then they just go back and rest. The only time they get stressed is when there is a lion that chases them. When a lion chases them, they have this threat response. There is fear in them instantly. There is stress. And this nervous system in the body gets triggered called sympathetic nervous system. And what does it do? It increases your heart rate, increases your blood pressure, it releases more glucose into your bloodstream so that you have more energy to run because you want to fly from there, right? And then the lungs expand so that you can take more oxygen and the blood supply is increased in the areas of the muscles and all these amazing things happen. But at the same time, there are certain things that happen which are not good for your body, like digestive system, excretory system, reproductive system, neurogenesis. All of these systems are kept aside for some time because your body is coping with stress and it's channeling all the energy to these important things. So stress, if you go for a long time, can be detrimental. We're going to talk about that. And now adding fuel to the fire, there are a few hormones that are released. One is adrenaline, which you all know. You heard about it, fight or flight hormone. It increases your heart rate and there is sudden surge of energy. And there is this other hormone called norepinephrine. What it does is it shifts blood supply from every other part of the body to the area where it is required most, which is the muscles of legs for zebra, so that it can run. And then if the stress persists for a long time, if it's there persistently, then there is this third hormone called cortisol that is released. That's the stress hormone. And there are a lot of ill effects for that if you have it for a longer time in your body. Anyways, now coming back to zebra's life, we have seen how it is. Now baboons, which are our close relatives, right? You know baboons? They have stress because it's created by their own species. They don't have lions or tigers chasing them. The stress is created by themselves. They have 3 hours for food and rest of the time to make someone else's life miserable. Just like human beings, right? They are our close relatives. So they don't have anything else to do, so they mess up with everyone around, right? So this is Dr. Robert Sapolsky. He is the one who has done all this research. He spent about 30 years in African savannas. So he studied zebras, he studied baboons, and he studied human beings. And basically what he found is that zebras worry only about what's present in that moment. After the lion is gone, they go back to the grazing and they're happy. They don't think about that lion in the past. They don't curse, oh my God, that lion was mean, that lion was bad, why did he do that to me? Or they don't think about the next one that is coming up. Oh my God, when is the next lion going to come? Oh my God, I'm going to be dead next few minutes. No, they don't have that fear. They just go back and live in the moment. But we humans, someone said something to us, probably a couple of days back, and then we keep ruminating on that. Oh my God, why did that person do this? Why did he say that? Why did she do that? Right? You girls were talking about it, right? We ruminate on that all the time. And that's the problem with we humans. And we can get stressed simply with the thought. So right now you can be sitting in this chair here and you might be not interested in my discussion here and you would be like, oh my God, That friend of mine, she was so mean. Why did she do that to me? Why did she say that to me? And then you can trigger that entire stress response that zebra had when there was a lion just by sitting right here. You don't need real zebras and lions in your life, tigers and lions in your life. That's the power of human mind. But if you can use it in the right direction, it can do wonders, constructive. But you can do a self-destruction too with all those negative thoughts. Right? And when that stress response is turned on chronically, we get sick. These are all the effects of excess cortisol in the body. Depression, hypertension, fatigue, sleep deprivation, migraines, tunnel vision, you name it. 90% of the problems, lifestyle diseases that we see out there today in the world are because of stress and the side effects of the cortisol, excess cortisol in our body. Can you relate to that? Stress, simple, silent killer of our lives. So now we looked at our body physiology, how stress affects us. Now we look at the brain. No one's spared with the stress. Even the brain gets affected. So remember the prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain, right behind our forehead. If you have stress for a longer time, this part of the brain, there is loss of tissue in that area. So no wonder when you are in stress, you can't think properly. You can't make rational decisions. You are erratic. You are irritable. And it impacts the central limbic system of the brain, the central portion, where it's responsible for threat. Amygdala is a part which is responsible for threat center. So it basically is looking at the world every second and seeing if there is a threat in your environment. And it instantly triggers the stress response if there is a threat. But with stress, which is imaginary most of the times, it triggers this, and they found that the size of the amygdala actually increases in, there is hypertrophy of amygdala. And hippocampus, which is your memory center, actually shrinks in size. And no wonder when we are in stress, we don't remember things very well because our memory system is hijacked. In fact, this whole thing is called amygdala hijack. Your amygdala gets hijacked because of the threat response in your system. So it impacts your brain. And this is one of the studies that was done at the Yale School of Medicine. So same thing, this is the front portion of the brain. They saw depletion of tissue in that area, and they found there is increase of the tissue in the amygdala. So there is a lot of research, thousands of research papers out there talking about impact of stress on brain and your physiology. And there are a lot of other stuff which I don't want to talk because of the time limitations. So toxic stress is the number one enemy of learning. Your teens are learning constantly, right? You want to learn, you want to understand the world, but you have the stress, then it impairs attention. You can't focus and you have emotional dysfunction, you're struggling with your emotions, you have mood disorders, you're happy for a second, you're unhappy another second, you will love someone for a second, you hate another for a second. You go through this extreme states of emotions. And then sleep disorders, obviously you can't sleep well because of stress. Simple. And then learning challenges, you can't understand, things are like don't make sense to you, you struggle. All these are part of your stress response. So what's the root cause? So when I went to my teacher 10 years back, I had stress in my life. I was complaining about every other person in my life, right? Oh, that person was mean, this person did that to me, that was bad, this was bad. And then one question she asked me, and she asked that to every single person who goes to her, she says, what are you doing for yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? So, no matter what happens in the world around us, the root cause is our own mind. Untrained, wandering mind is the root cause of stress. Yes, there can be a person who cuts your car when you're driving. It's his problem, not your problem. But what we do, we increase our blood pressure. We get angry, we get upset. Who's suffering? Us, not them. So the root cause is the untrained, wandering mind. And my teacher calls this mind a monkey mind, jumping from thought to thought, wandering everywhere else, collecting all the garbage from everyone and dumping it in your own body and mind, and becoming an intoxicated elephant, destroying itself and destroying everyone in its path. And what do? I'm sure you teenagers can relate to this very well. Your self-destruction is what other people think about me. I'm not even going to say this, I'm just going to scroll this, and you can relate to this very well. Yeah? You can relate to this? These are mostly, I think, 70% of the thoughts. This applies to adults too, by the way. We are no exception to this. Oh, am I wearing very well? Oh, am I looking good? I don't know what she's thinking about me. Oh my God, I don't know what the other person is talking about me. We go through this. We rewind this tape all the time. It doesn't matter. And who is the problem? Our own untrained, wandering minds. That's the root cause. So time to shift gears from self-destruction to self-empowerment. So what is the most precious thing in our lives? Any guess? Self. Yourself. The most precious thing in our life is self. So if you work on yourself, then you can take care of stress very well. And the reason is, we talked about it, self-inflicted stress, because we think about all these things which are negative, and stress from environment. Yes, there are people out there who create stress, but in either case, who suffers? Self. They are not suffering. So the best way to solve the problem of stress is to work on yourself. Empower yourself. That's it. Simple. End of the class. So especially for teenagers, I make this more simplified. So when I say self, people might be like, teenagers, okay, what is the self? So let's start with the simplest things. There are three, and of course I know there are a lot of important things in your body, but there are three essentially important things. One is your heart, without which blood can't go anywhere. Your heartbeat stops, then you're dead. Your lungs, without breathing you can't sustain for more than a couple of minutes. And then your brain, without which you can't literally do anything. So there are three important parts of your body, and if you can take care of them every day, then you will be relieved from stress 90% of the time. So caring for the precious thing, heart pumps the blood. You need simple physical exercises, nutritious food for a healthy heart. Agree? Lungs, more oxygen, deep breathing exercises your lungs. We're going to practice some of that. And then the brain, because it's needed for your focus, concentration, memory. People who are in academics, sports, music, dance, it doesn't matter, right? No matter what, even for brushing your teeth, you got to have that focus. You can't be like somewhere else and you can't, and your brush will drop and you'll start drooling all your saliva, right? For simple things, you need concentration, memory. You need to go find your brush, you need your memory, right? So the way to take care of your brains is giving it calming and relaxation time, sleep, good sleep, and of course meditation. So we're going to talk about what is meditation, mindfulness and meditation. That's what we are here for, right? So you understood what stress does, and now we know how to manage it. So a lot of people say, is it mindful or mindful? So you and your dog go for a walk. This is the state of our minds. You're walking, but you're thinking about all these things. But your dog is living in the moment, happy, not worried about anything else. So this is where you want to be, right? I'm going to skip this. We're running short of time. So this is Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. He's one of the pioneers of bringing mindfulness into medical science, into hospitals and clinics. So he defines mindfulness as awareness of paying attention on purpose in the present moment. So living in the present moment, right? How do we do that? I see smiles. There you go. Exactly. Bring that smile. You will always come back to this moment. And now the important part is the non-judgmental part, right? A lot of times we are judging. You're probably sitting there and judging me, right? Oh my God, this guy is boring, stop, right? We do that, right? I do that. The important part of mindfulness is living in the present moment. That's important, but more important is non-judgmental part. And how do we do that? By practice. And there is a reason why we do this, because by living in present moment, we fix the problem of self-destruction, right? Self-inflicted stress. So you are not thinking about the past, you're not worried about the future, you're in this moment. And then non-judgmental part fixes The stress from others. Somebody did something to you, somebody said something to you. You don't go back and then ruminate on it. You don't judge that person more and more, and you destroy yourself at the end. So, non-judgmental part. It's not that easy, but you can get there with practice. With practice. So this is Dr. Richard Davidson, great scientist who has been doing lots of research in mindfulness. He says, in the next 20 years, will regard mental exercise same as physical exercise. Like I know you guys are all into sports, working out, keeping your bodies healthy. But the same way we got to keep our minds exercising. And mindfulness meditation is a way to exercise your mind. And then Dr. Daniel Siegel, another great guy in the field of psychiatry, he wrote a very good book called Brainstorm. It's about the teenage brain. If you have time to read it, I would highly recommend it. Very good book for teenagers, both adults and teenagers, right? And he says solitude is an essential experience. It's important we give time for mind to be calm and silent so that it organizes its own processes. And now I'm going to talk specifically about a technique or tool called Sookshma, or self-compassion healing meditation. Sookshma is an ancient word from ancient language called Sanskrit in India. Sookshma means subtle, micro. So subtle and micro, so by going within, you are getting in touch with the subtler aspect of you, which is your mind. And you go deeper and deeper into your microcosm from the macrocosm. So that's what Sookshma means. So this was pioneered by Master Sunita. She is a teacher who has been teaching me for the last 10 years. And she's a pioneer, and she's been doing this for the past 40 years across the globe, compassionate leadership. So what is self-compassion healing meditation? Self-compassion is at the core. It's compassionate for yourself. She says, if you are first compassionate and loving for yourself, then you can give out compassion and love to the world. So that's where we all start. And then the smile is at the foundation. Don't forget the smiles, please. And then there are subtle physical exercises to bring attention back to you. A lot of places when you go to meditation, they say, okay, sit down, focus on your breathing and start meditation. It's not that easy, because the mind is so powerful, it just draws your attention everywhere. So by doing some of these exercises, it brings your attention back to this moment. Okay? And then lying down position, we use lying down position so that your body is relaxed, so that you don't have to worry about the sprain or the pain in your back or your neck or your lower back. We do that, right? And then of course breathing brings your attention and concentration back to you, and a lot of empathy, positive energy and compassion. So breathing, very important. We do that, right? Take a deep breath. Please come and join if you're interested, yeah. So there is a lot of research on breathing. Decreases anxiety and depression, increases happiness and optimism, improves sleep. A lot of people have a hard time to go to sleep. Just do 2 minutes of breathing and you will be in deep sleep. Very simple and inexpensive exercise. People spend a lot of money for that. Drink alcohol, take pills, do whatnot. But simple breathing can do that for you. It increases ability to regulate emotions, improves trauma symptoms, and reduces impulsivity and cravings and addictions. So remember the first few slides we talked about a sympathetic nervous system, which is a fight or flight response, increases your heart rate. There is a nervous system in us which is exact opposite to that, called parasympathetic nervous system. So when you take deep breaths, this system gets triggered. And what does it do? It relaxes everything. It's called rest and digest system. It lowers your heart rate, it brings all the functions of the body to perfect equilibrium. Your digestion, immune system, nervous system, everything is at an optimal state. So we have that within us, and we can trigger that with simple breathing, deep breathing, and few minutes of meditation. So neuroscience, I'm going to quickly go through this because I don't think we have much time. So these are different types of brain waves they have recorded. So these are the waves of the brain when you are in stress, and these are the waves when you are in meditation. In stress, you are irritable, you are angry, you are nervous, depressed, anxious. But here, inspiration, problem solving, more attention, more focus. So I'm going to quickly go through this because of the time challenge. And remember, we talked about the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for self-awareness, self-regulation. They found before and after there is more connectivity between these areas in prefrontal cortex. So there is more neural structures wiring and firing together. And that's just after 2 weeks of meditation. And remember amygdala, we saw that the size of amygdala goes up because of stress, increases in size. They found that after people meditate for 4 to 5 weeks, they found that it actually shrunk in size. So this is what we are talking about, neuroplasticity. You can influence the way your brain works for you. You got to use your brain, not the other way. Most of the times, brain is using us. But you can take a step back and make your brain a tool for your work, for your day-to-day work. Because you're the master, you're in control of your brain, not the other way. And mindfulness and meditation helps you build that strength, build that muscle. Just like when you build a muscle for sports, you build a specific muscle. So mindfulness is building that muscle and say, oh, I'm going to use my brain for this. Okay? So we did a project in Surrey in prisons. Teacher Sunita, she spent a lot of time with them. And these are just a couple of letters from them. These are like after 3 to 4 weeks after meditation. And these are like hardcore inmates, people who have done crazy crimes in their life, 15, 20 years in the prison. Look at their lines. If they can do it, we can do it too. But the problem is, we are prisoners of our own mind. We live in this prison and say, this is me, this is who I am, I don't want to change, I'm conditioned certain way. We close ourselves to the world. And what meditation does, it opens you up for the world. It breaks those walls and it opens your heart for everyone, to understand, to listen to everyone and become receptive. So take time every day to care for the self, smile and empower the self, experience your true self. All that it takes is breathing and smiling. Very, very simple. So, you want to take the brain to gym now? Alright, so let's spend 20 minutes with few exercises. I'm going to teach a few tools and techniques. You're okay with that? We don't have much time. I'll try to see if we can leave by 6:05. Okay?